Hello and welcome to our continuing series of Lent readings for 2023, considering people who encountered Jesus. Today, it's day 26. In the series so far, a number of the people we've encountered have been parents. Today, we're going to consider a child. The readings for the rest of this week have a common thread running through them of status. Any time you get a group of young men together, there will inevitably be some element of rivalry, and the disciples were no different. There are several passages that record disputes among them as to who was the greatest or the most important. In our passage today, they come to Jesus with the question, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus answers this question using the example of a child. We read the passage in Matthew chapter 18. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a little child to him and placed the child among them and said, "Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, and whoever welcomes one such as this child in my name welcomes me." So the question that the disciples came to Jesus with was, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Now that could be understood in several ways. They could mean, if we were being generous, how could I become great in God's kingdom that I may please God? Or possibly more likely, how do I become greater in your team than the other disciples? Whichever way it was meant, Jesus' response is to take a child, put them in front of the disciples and say, if you want to be great in God's kingdom, you need to be like this. So what did that mean? Well, one way we might understand what Jesus was saying is to consider the childlike qualities of dependence and obedience. Typically, a child loves to be with their father and is concerned when separated from them. They're delighted to see their father's pleasure in what they do. Compare that to a teenager who's typically seen as rebellious and frequently embarrassed to be associated with their parents. Or take an adult who will tend towards independence, with parents seen as an inconvenience that takes up time that you would rather spend doing something else. Looking from that perspective may help us see something of what Jesus may have been pointing towards. God is our Heavenly Father, and what really pleases Him is when we live our lives in dependence and obedience to Him, eagerly seeking time in His presence and doing the things that give Him pleasure. If you want to be great in God's eyes, we need to avoid the rebelliousness or embarrassment towards our Heavenly Father of teenage years, nor the attitude of independence and inconvenience of adulthood. We need the delight of a child towards their father. But also, we need to know the delight of our Heavenly Father towards us, His children. Imagine you have, say, a 4-year-old, and I've been in that situation a number of times myself. They come back from their school reception class or from Sunday school and they say something like, "Daddy, can I sing you a song I learnt?" No parent is going to say no to that request. And then they sing. And it might sound like you get 2 sets of words and 3 tunes, a bit like singing the words of one song to the tune of another. But how does that make you feel? You don't care. All you know is that your child has a song in their heart and they want to sing it to you. If someone else overhears and says, "Well, that wasn't great, was it? You got the words wrong and the tune wrong," what are you going to say? You're going to defend them. You're going to say, "Hey, back away. That's my child you're talking about, whom I love, and that may not be the best rendition of that song in your view, but it's beautiful to me." That is how God feels about us, His children. It doesn't matter whether what we offer Him is perfect, whether we can hold a tune or stay in key. He loves that we have a song in our heart that we just want to sing to Him. If you're a parent and your 4-year-old has sung to you, you'll know what I mean. You have seen something of the heart of God for his children. Until next time, have a blessed day.